overall macroeconomic issue in the country, Honorable Speaker. We find that this budget is coming at a time, Honorable Speaker, when we have the Russia-Ukraine conflict that is going on. It's a war that, although it's very many miles away, it's affecting us because Russia, Honorable Speaker, is a key supplier of fertilizer, is also a consumer of our tea. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, any kind of interruption in the supply chain definitely has a big effect on our economy. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are likely to experience inflationary pressures and depreciating exchange rate. We cannot realize a positive exchange rate, Honorable Speaker, hardening against the US dollar, yet, Honorable Speaker, we cannot realize the exports thereon. Therefore, it's important that, Honorable Speaker, all Kenyans be made aware of the situation which is beyond us that is giving us that kind of a position. Honorable Speaker, the other issue which I would wish to highlight here is the issue in terms of natural phenomenon. We are all aware that we are experiencing unpredictable weather pattern, which is affecting the issues of rainfall. And Kenya, Honorable Speaker, is agriculture-based. You find that any shift, be it over rainfall or below the rains, it affects both production of the vegetation and livestock. Today, 3/4 of almost the northern Kenya is suffering from lack of rainfall and severe drought. What is it that is happening that we can do about it? In the budget, Honorable Speaker, the CS has not actually come up very clear on the issues that how he's going to save this, the issue of drought. Instead, he's leaving it as part of the consolidated fund, a situation which, Honorable Speaker, in future, we would wish that the CS at least delivers a budget which is explicit and express of a situation which is visible, so that members from the northern Kenya should not again, Honorable Speaker, look at a budget from the funds which is part of the consolidated fund. Let the consolidated fund, Honorable Speaker, provide for issues which are not explicit, like what we are not able to predict in future, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is also the issue in the budget of the Treasury has really come up with a budget based on the issues of fuel. Honorable Speaker, the challenges facing fuel supply at large is key. When we pay out in terms of importation of fuel, and the issues on pricing on fuel trickles to every manufacturing, every sector of the economy, be it transport, be it manufacturing, be it health, it's eventually affected when the prices of fuel is going up. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this budget is good because it is sensitive to the likely rising of prices in the fuel sector, fuel industry, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude my seconding, I wish also to look at the issues of the pending bills. The National Treasury, Honorable Speaker, has not explicitly come up in this budget to look at the pending bills. Honorable Speaker, if you don't pay suppliers of government, what you are telling us is suppliers will deliver goods at a higher cost because they do not know when are they going to be paid and what is going to happen. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, most of the suppliers have had their pending bills being kept in the National Treasury for as long as 10 years. Honorable Speaker, this is a key issue which I feel the next House should be able to look at a mandatory rule that shall push the Treasury to pay the suppliers of various government goods and services so that Kenyans can receive value for their money as well as value for their supplies. Honorable Speaker, with those few highlights, I wish to second.
Okay. Other members? So I propose a question, which is that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the budget estimates for the national government, the judiciary, and parliament for the financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, May 24, 2022, and pursuant to provisions of Article 221 of the Constitution and Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and Standing Order 239A, approves the issuance of a sum of Kenya shillings 2,103,838,811,446 from the consolidated fund to meet the expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2023 in respect of votes contained in the first schedule to the order paper, subject to paragraph C, which is Committee of Supply. B, make a policy and financial resolution contained in the second schedule to the order paper. And C, orders that the Speaker do now leave the chair to facilitate the consideration of the said budget estimates with respect to each vote and program in the Committee of Supply as contemplated under Standing Order 240, which is consideration of estimates in the Committee of Supply. So, honorable members, we will, as you are aware, and by the resolution you yourselves made earlier this year, every member will be speaking for 5 minutes. And we will start with the Honorable Dawood Rahim, member for North Imenti. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleague, Chairman of Budget. I support this budget, but with a few variations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot just have budgets being done when on the ground things are different. Mr. Speaker, the chairman has read the budget estimates and tells us it's balanced according to what the minister presented, BPS, a 3 trillion budget. Mr. Speaker, when we have a 3 trillion budget, 30% of that budget should be on development, Mr. Speaker. But unfortunately, the development budget is only 700 billion. Mr. Speaker, that's less than 30% of the total budget. Mr. Speaker, when we are talking about the debt which is going to be paid in the next financial year, will go above 700 billion. Mr. Speaker, when the debt is over 700 billion, and if that debt is factored in, we will definitely break the ceiling of the 9 trillion debt which we have passed as this parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, this budget, what has been read, may not balance at the end of the day. But, Mr. Speaker, that notwithstanding, the government needs to come to look at how it is going to do infrastructure funding. Mr. Speaker, there are many, many roads in this country which contractors have not been paid, so they cannot finish those roads. Mr. Speaker, we needed the infrastructure bond, which has been in the pipeline for the last 2 to 3 years. But apparently, the Minister for Finance, Ukur Yatani, cannot take that into account. And Mr. Speaker, we need to finish all the roads and pay all the suppliers, because the suppliers, if they are not paid, how do they finish the work? Mr. Speaker, we need to put money in electricity. We need to put transformers. We need to help Kenya Power and KenGen and RERAC to do what we need, electricity. Mr. Speaker, we also need money to go to water, PANS, the Ministry of Water. But apparently, Mr. Speaker, even agriculture, which is the backbone of this country, is not getting enough money, Mr. Speaker. We are surprised that so much money goes to the military when we are not even at war, Mr. Speaker. We need now to put our priorities right. We need to do drought mitigation measures, Mr. Speaker, because if we have not even said what we are doing about the drought and people who are losing their livestock, Mr. Speaker, we need to put a fund aside for that. Mr. Speaker, over all these years, we established in 2014 the Equalization Fund, Mr. Speaker. Then we said the Equalization Fund would go according to districts or locations and that. But, Mr. Speaker, to date, that Equalization Fund has just gathered money and nothing has gone down to the ground. And, Mr. Speaker, we need to know, yes, we agreed to fund, to bail out Kenya Airways, but how long are we going to be bailing out Kenya Airways, putting good money where bad money is? Mr. Speaker, we need now to put people on the spot who cannot deliver, they should deliver, because otherwise, then we cannot get anything done. I'm glad the chairman has talked about KRA, and the chief whip has talked that KRA has done a good job under the chairmanship of Ambassador Modaura and the Commissioner General. But, Mr. Speaker, we need to put taxes down so that people who have suffered during this time of COVID need to be compensated, need to be encouraged, because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot be a country where only we are paying taxes and services are not there. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to sort out our issues, and I hope the next government which is going to come, or the presidential candidates, can tell us how they are going to put this debt down, because we need to fight corruption, and DCI Kinoti is doing a good job with Nurdin Haji and EACC. So we need to give them more money so that at least we get the corrupt out of the system and we can collect more money.
Your time is over, so let's have the Honorable Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that this budget has been framed under a very difficult macroeconomic environment because, Honorable Speaker, you are aware that this is the year that we are conducting elections. And when we are conducting elections, usually the private sector, they have a tendency to withhold investments awaiting the outcome of elections. And, Honorable Speaker, this is likely to affect the projections that have been put here, the revenue projections. Honorable Speaker, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of substantial pressure on the revenues because even though we are saying KRA has been meeting their objectives, my view, Honorable Speaker, is that the targets that have been set for KRA and going by the size of this economy, the KRA ideally should do more. They should be able to project to raise at least upwards of 2.5 trillion in this financial year. But this is not possible because the government is not investing substantial resources in the sector that are supposed to promote the economy. For instance, Honorable Speaker, we are in the economic master plan of this government, there is the talk that the manufacturing sector is supposed to contribute substantially in the expansion